Chalo, come back. In the previous session, we made efforts to understand what are the the topics we're going to review, what are the topics we're going to have brush up. So there are totally 20 chapters, right? There are totally 20 chapters in entire Indian history. Out of 20 chapters, we are going to review only 19 chapters because the 20th, the last chapter happened to be post-independence era, otherwise called as Nehruvian era, which belonged to exclusively males. So out of 20 chapters, we found 8 chapters in ancient, 5 chapters in medieval, and the remaining chapters from modern. So these are the chapters, chapterization. So మనం లాస్ట్ క్లాస్లో రెఫర్ చేశాం. అంటే ఈ చాప్టరైజేషన్ వెనకాల ఉద్దేశం ఏంటి అన్నప్పుడు సో వీ ఫౌండ్ క్రొనాలజీ. అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలి, అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి క్రొనాలజీ. సో ప్రీ హిస్టారిక్ కల్చర్స్ రైట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద ఎవల్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ హ్యూమన్స్ అప్ టు 2500 BC. ఫాలోడ్ బై Indus Valley Civilization 2500 BC. అర్థం చేసుకోవచ్చు, రాసుకోవచ్చు. 2500 BC to 1750 BC. When it comes to Vedic Civilization, 1500 BC to 600 BC. When it comes to pre-Mauryan age, 600 BC to 400 BC. Mauryan age, 400 BC to 200 BC. Post-Mauryan age, 200 BC to 300 AD. So it was in post-Mauryan age, we are going to enter in AD. So the history of 500 years, that will be dealt under the tag called post-Mauryan age. So 200 BC to 300 AD. When it comes to Guptan age, 300 AD to 550 AD. The 8th and last chapter, 550 AD to 750 AD. That's it. Chronological events evitunayo what we observe cheyali, because we found 3 questions when you go through previous question papers. We found 3 questions in chronology. In fact, that will be discussed in course of time. So right from prehistoric cultures to post-Guptan age, right from earliest to mid 8th century AD. Right? Mid 8th century AD, what are the topics which we found? So we accommodated these chapters or these topics another tag called ancient Indian history. So start with first chapter, that is prehistoric culture. So మనం లాస్ట్ క్లాస్లో ఒక గ్లాన్స్ రాసుకున్నాము, how the respective chapters to be identified, what are the so keywords అనే పాయింట్ మనం ఒక రాసుకున్నాం. You better write keywords so that you can focus on keywords, right? Every chapter has got keywords. Even you can go through syllabus, and even you can check in syllabus, and even you can go through previous year question papers so that you find the respective questions from these words. So we call them as keywords, right? Mal keywords lo bhanga we have prehistoric cultures. Aden sir mottam chapter mottam cheppatledu. So cultures and raskoni, culture followed by civilization. Keywords: culture hyphen civilization. Another keyword, prehistoric art. Another keyword, prehistoric art. Another keyword, microliths, otherwise called as pygmy tools. They're quite aware of microliths because the Mesolithic age law, the tools were very smaller in size, sharp in nature. So scholars branded these tools as microliths, otherwise called as pygmy tools. Right? Another keyword which we found in syllabus and also found in the previous year questions, that is Neolithic revolution. Neolithic revolution. Navina Shilayagupa Viplavam antam Telugulo, Neolithic revolution. Right? And another keyword, artifacts. And finally, terracotta figurines. ఈ కీవర్డ్స్ అనండి, మీరు టెక్నికల్ టర్మ్స్ అనండి, ఈ కీవర్డ్స్ మీద ఫోకస్ చేయాలి. ఈవెన్ యూ కెన్ ఆల్సో రైట్ డౌన్ వన్ మోర్, దట్ ఈస్ ఫీచర్స్ అని రాసుకోండి. ఫీచర్స్ ఆర్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్, బోత్ ఆర్ సేమ్. Features are developments. So what are the features of Paleolithic cultures, the features of Mesolithic cultures, the features of Neolithic cultures? Features కానివ్వండి, developments కానివ్వండి, because we found questions, right? For example, you're reading Paleolithic cultures. Assume you're reading Paleolithic cultures. You come across developments, right? With this background, you have to go to Mesolithic cultures. What kind of developments which took place? What kind of changes which took place in Mesolithic cultures? Unless you have the idea on Paleolithic ganivandi, Mesolithic ganivandi, you can't focus on the respective ages. The Neolithic ganivandi or a period of time Chalcolithic. So if features మీద ఎక్కువగా focus చేయండి. In fact, we are going to have the peripheral information in subsequent classes. Right? So these are the artifacts, we call them, are stones. How Stone Age humans made hand axes. మనం తెలుగులో ఏమంటామంటే చేతి గొడ్డలు అంటాం. గొడ్డలు ఏంటి సార్? ఇది గొడ్డలు అనమాట. Finished hand axe. Not weapon wala, not say metal. It's in stone. Hand axes అంటాం. The process through which the Paleolithic people used to make weapons. When I say weapons, star mark can supply for hunting and gatherings, not to attack others and all right. So weapon, e context artham chesukovali. And one more element you shall keep in mind, ee features lo bhanga, developments lo bhanga, అంటే ఈ టూల్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో ఆర్టిఫాక్ట్స్ అంటాం, లేదా టూల్స్, మీరు ఆర్టిఫాక్ట్స్ ఆబ్లిక్ టూల్స్ అని కూడా రాసుకోండి. ఆర్టిఫాక్ట్స్ ఆబ్లిక్ టూల్స్, ఈ టూల్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో సో లుక్ ఎట్ ద బోర్డ్. ప్యాలియోలిథిక్ పీరియడ్లో ఆల్ ఆర్ తెలుగు సార్, ఎనీ నాన్ తెలుగు సార్? ఎంత స్టేట్? గుజరాత్, ఒరిస్సా, చలో కోయి బాత్ नहीं, कभी कभी raise your hand. So Paleolithic, when you observe tools in Paleolithic cultures, the Paleolithic tools, they're very rude in nature. Observe cheyali, subsequent classes lo observe cheyali, subsequent slides lo observe cheyali. So you have to observe. When you observe in Paleolithic period, the tools, they were rude in nature, very primitive. Right? By the time you go to Mesolithic, we found little bit the technology was used. Say they were smaller in size and sharp in nature. Smaller in size, sharp in nature. By the time you go to Neolithic, further smaller in size, sharp in nature. At the same time, we found polished stones. What does it indicate? Which indicates technology. Star mark can supply, I'm not talking about modern technology. Then, for them, changes. We prefer to call them a technology. Chalo, look at the board. So these are the stone tools. One of the keywords we have written artifacts, otherwise called as stone tools. So these are the primitive stone tools which we found in Paleolithic cultures. Right? Paleolithic cultures. Besides stone tools, we also found bone tools. ఎముకలతో చేసిన పనిముట్లు అంటాం తెలుగులో. Bone tools, right? So these are the major tools used by Paleolithic people. And by the time you go to Mesolithic cultures, right? So you have to be good at how the artifacts are tools looked at during Paleolithic cultures, and how artifacts, tools got changed in Mesolithic cultures. And by the time you go to Neolithic cultures, how these tools further got sharpened and polished. అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. We are not learning entire chapter. We were having some sort of we were extracting the key areas. A keywords రాసుకొని వాటి మీద మనం ఫోకస్ చేస్తున్నాం. Right. So with this background, when we understand what exactly prehistoric cultures, so what was a criteria through which prehistoric cultures classified, and everyone knows that is, you can write down this, it was Robert Bruce Foote. You're quite aware of Robert Bruce Foote was responsible for this classification. Can anyone, what is the significance of Robert Bruce Foote? And one of the patent questions of competitive exams. Robert Bruce Foote, cheptanu. Okay, he discovered bone tools in Andhra Pradesh and all. Okay, any? Cheptanu. Saying something? Good now. So the significance of Robert Bruce Foote, no doubt, it's one of the English archaeologist and English, say, even officer. The significance of Robert Bruce Foote was a father of Indian prehistory. Was a father of Indian prehistory, and who was a father of Indian archaeology. Alexander Cunningham, the father of Indian archaeology. Alexander Cunningham, when it comes to the father of Indian prehistory, Robert Bruce Foote. So why we supposed to consider Robert Bruce Foote as a father of Indian prehistory or Indian prehistoric cultures? Because it was he who made initiations to discover, say bone tools ganivandi, to discover stone tools ganivandi. It was he who classified the existing cultures into two phases, that is Stone Age cultures and Metal Age cultures. So classification meeda ekkuva focus cheyali. So when you classify, the respective topics, it doesn't take much time to get command over, there shouldn't be any kind of room when it comes to classification. So repeat, it was Robert Bruce Foote who was responsible for classifying the entire cultures into two parts, that is stone cultures and metal cultures. Mali stone cultures lo bhanga, you can write down Paleolithic cultures, Mesolithic cultures, Neolithic cultures. Paleo, Meso, Neo. Paleolithic cultures, old Stone Age cultures, right? The English version of Greek terminology, old Stone Age cultures. Mesolithic cultures, the English version of Greek terminology. Middle Stone Age cultures and Neolithic cultures, the English version of Greek terminology. New Stone Age culture. Lithic, Stone Age. Manam Telugulo Rati Yugamu antam. Then how about Metal Age cultures? Can anyone, what are the Metal Age cultures? Children. Very good. Start with Chalcolithic. Chalco. Chalcolithic cultures. What is this Chalco? What does it mean Chalco? Copper. Chalcolithic cultures, followed by Bronze Age cultures, and the third and last one, that is Iron Age cultures. Chalcolithic cultures, otherwise called as copper stone cultures. Bronze Age cultures, otherwise called as Indus Valley Civilization. And the third and last category under the tag called classification of the cultures according to Robert Bruce Foote, Iron Age cultures, otherwise called as Aryan civilization or Vedic civilization. That's it. One of the previous questions which we found, you can write down this, that is the use of metals and raskondi. Can anyone, which was the earliest metal to be used? Copper, followed by bronze, followed by, then you can write down it. So first you start with gold. I'll explain, ఇందాక ముందు కాపర్ చెప్పారు కదా సార్, ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. ఫస్ట్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ గోల్డ్. ఒక చిన్న హైఫన్ తీసుకోండి. నియోలిథిక్ కల్చర్స్, కాపర్, చాల్కోలిథిక్ కల్చర్స్, bronze, Harappans are Indus people, and finally Aryans. Even you can also use for your convenience just years. Gold was used in and around 7000 BC. When it comes to copper, in and around 5000 BC. Bronze, in and around 2500 BC. When it comes to iron, can anyone? 1000 BC. 1000. The gold was used by Neolithic people. Obviously, Neolithic people of South India. You might have watched KGF. And when it comes to copper, Chalcolithic, bronze, Harappans are Indus Valley, and iron, the Vedic people are Aryans. Right? Chalo. So we found question in this way. which was the earliest metal to be used in making tools. మనం ఇక్కడేమో గోల్డ్ అని రాసుకొని ఉంటాం, అక్కడ గోల్డ్ కూడా ఉంటుంది. గోల్డ్ పెడతాం, బయటకు వచ్చి కట్ చేస్తే కాపర్. మళ్ళీ గోల్డ్ అని రాయించినావు కదా సార్. ద ఎర్లియస్ట్ మెటల్ యూస్డ్ బై ద పీపుల్ టు మేక్ ఆర్నమెంట్స్ హ్యాపెన్ టు బి gold. The earliest metal to be used by the people to make weapons or artifacts, that's in copper. So while you're reading questions, you must be very conscious. That's the aroma of history. మొత్తం వచ్చినట్టు ఉంటుంది, అక్కడికి వెళ్ళి ఏదో పెట్టి బయటకు వచ్చి ఏదో రైట్. సో be good at gold was the earliest metal to be used in making ornaments. Beads కానివ్వండి, right? Some sort of primitive necklaces కానివ్వండి, right? When it comes to copper, weapons, which is on board. ఏదో బొమ్మలు పట్టుకొచ్చాం సార్, అవును, weapons. So next, little later we have bronze by Indus people, followed by iron, that is Aryans. So start with, that is Paleolithic cultures. Right? Now with this background, start with Paleolithic cultures. Paleolithic cultures. Right? Mali Paleolithic cultures lo bhanga, as I was telling, in fact, in prehistoric cultures lo bhanga, you have to focus on developments or features. When you have idea about the developments or features of Paleolithic cultures with this background, you can easily eliminate, you can easily observe what kind of developments which took place in Mesolithic cultures, followed by Neolithic, followed by Chalcolithic. Mali ee developments evitunayo, right? Chalo ante fast ga raskodaniki prayatninchandi, because the session is called as marathon. We are not walking, we are running. Right? So to begin with, end of Pleistocene age. End of Pleistocene age, followed by emergence of Homo sapiens. Emergence of Homo sapiens. Emergence of Homo sapiens. I know, sir, manamenu. For your convenience, you call him modern man. Invention of fire. Invention of fire. In fact, the invention of fire brought radical changes in the evolution of human, because right from invention of fire, the people, the prehistoric people, they started living away from say you call them rocks, you call them caves, you call them the little bit water bodies and all that. The credit goes to fire, invention of fire, and even division of labor. Division of labor. ఈ division of labor అనేది, it's too early to make a comment on division of labor. And strictly speaking, division of labor, it's a communist concept. Right? Communist concept. శ్రమ విభజన అంటాం తెలుగులో. అంటే మగవాళ్ళు ఒక పని చేయాలి, ఆడవాళ్ళు ఒక పని చేయాలి. Knowingly or unknowingly, we found division of labor right from the days of prehistoric cultures. అంటే ఏ విధంగా, అంటే వాట్ వాజ్ ద క్రైటీరియా బేస్డ్ ఆన్ విచ్ మీరు ఏ విధంగా క్లాసిఫై చేశారు డివిజన్ ఆఫ్ లేబర్ అంటే, వీ ఫౌండ్ ద మెన్ వర్ అసోసియేటెడ్, కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి, మెన్ వర్ అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ హంటింగ్, వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు విమెన్ వర్ అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ గ్యాదరింగ్. హంటింగ్ అండ్ గ్యాదరింగ్, ద మెయిన్ ప్రొఫెషన్ ఆఫ్ ప్యాలియోలిథిక్ పీపుల్. మళ్ళీ ఎవరు హంట్ చేయాలి, ఎవరు ఎడిబుల్స్ని తీసుకురావాలి అన్నప్పుడు దెర్ వాజ్ క్లియర్ కట్ డిమార్కేషన్. So what I'm trying to tell you, the communist concept called division of labor we found in prehistoric cultures, to be specific, Paleolithic period. And let me tell you, knowingly or unknowingly, even today we follow this, right? Whenever you happen to go to villages, whenever you observe villages, in villages, men were associated with some kind of work, whereas women are associated with some kind of work. And need not to tell you, even differences of wages కూడా ఉంటాయి, and భయంకరమైన discrimination, exploitation ఉంటుంది. That is another story. So division of labor అంటాం. And finally, domestication of dog. సో మన డొమెస్టికేషన్ ఆఫ్ డాగ్ గురించి మనకు ప్రీవియస్గా క్వశ్చన్ రావడం జరిగింది. జస్ట్ రైట్ డౌన్ వన్ ఫ్యాక్ట్, సో వన్ స్టేట్మెంట్, లెట్ మీ సీ హౌ యూర్ గోయింగ్ టు ఆన్సర్. Already in the first statement, the Paleolithic people domesticated dog. Paleolithic people domesticated dog. The first statement. Second statement. Domestication of animals. Second statement. Domestication of animals. Domestication of the animals was the main profession of Paleolithic people. Domestication of animals was the main profession of Paleolithic people. Same traditional options. Option A only one correct, option B only two correct, option C both these statements are correct, and option D neither one correct nor two. Go through two statements carefully, I can give answer. Chalo, how many says option is right answer? Only one. How many says option B is right answer? Only two. Only two. And option C, both these statements are correct. Option C, both these statements are correct. And option D, neither one correct nor two. Right? Chalo, the right answer for this question, option A, only one. Second statement is incorrect. Then you can counter me. When second statement goes wrong, that is domestication of animals was the main profession, or one of the professions you call them of Paleolithic cultures, then how did dog has come? మరి దీన్ని ఏ విధంగా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలన్నప్పుడు, see, whenever you talk about కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. whenever you talk about hunting and gathering, keep in mind dogs are associated. You can't imagine hunters without dogs. మళ్ళీ ఏంటి డొమెస్టికేషన్ ఆఫ్ యానిమల్స్ అంటే ఏంటి? ఫర్ అవర్ కన్వీనియన్స్ let us use a term called pastoral economy. పశుపోషణ ఆర్థిక వ్యవస్థ అంటాం తెలుగులో, pastoral economy. One of the features which we have learned, that is like the developments which we have learned, which took place in Paleolithic age, right from earliest to 10,000 BC, according to the one classification, to be specific, Robert Bruce Foote. End of Pleistocene age, ante manchu yugamu, ice age you call it, ice age, the end of Pleistocene age, ice age gradually came to an end. Thereby we found the rise of species. We found the rise of species. A little bit. Like, we didn't find environment which is so conducive so that the flora, fauna can be existed. By the time you go to Mesolithic cultures, as we found domestication of animals. ఇంకా కొంచెం ముందుకెళ్తే, by the time you go to what we call Neolithic cultures, we found primitive agriculture. ఇంకా కొంచెం ముందుకెళ్తే we found use of metals. I'm talking about the first phase, Paleolithic cultures. So there was no profession. I'm not talking about absence of animals. Animals unnaru, humans unnaru, but not domestication of animals. So one of the major features of Mesolithic cultures I'll be going to speak, that is domestication of animals. Then if someone asks the question, what was the main profession of Paleolithic people annappudu, it was hunting and gathering. That's it. Right. It's all about, and so even మీరు అక్కడ ఆ keywords దగ్గర you can also add one word, that is important sites and రాసుకోండి. You just add important sites, because we found the important sites at the same time. What kind of significance of the important sites మనం even last class లో refer చేశాం, previous question and refer చేశాం last class లో. Look at about it. So historical place are site and well known for significance, right? So manaku sites మీద కూడా focus చేశారు. I'm not instructing you people by heart the sites. Focus on those sites which are extremely important or which has got multiple significance, right? So manaku, you need not write. Already you have the content, like, just go through. So important sites of Paleolithic age, ఒక ఐడియా ఉండడానికి నేను తీసుకురావడం జరిగింది. సోన్ వ్యాలీ, like, మనకు what we have, గోదావరి వ్యాలీ, కృష్ణా వ్యాలీ, like, say ఇండస్ వ్యాలీ, మనకు సోన్ వ్యాలీ, సోన్ రివర్ పరివాహక ప్రాంతం అంటాం. సో పాకిస్తాన్లో ఉంటుంది సోన్ వ్యాలీ. నర్మదా వ్యాలీ మధ్యప్రదేశ్, బెలాన్ వ్యాలీ యూపీ ఉత్తరప్రదేశ్, పహల్గామ్ J&K జమ్మూ అండ్ కాశ్మీర్, బింబెట్కా, it's not valley, Bhimbetka, it's a group of rock shelters. I'll be going to speak. So by the time Mesolithic age, Bhimbetka rock cave shelters and so Hansgi, Karnataka, Atrimpakam, Tamil Nadu, Nagarjuna Konda, Andhra Pradesh, and Muchala Chintamanu Gavi, Andhra Pradesh. So let me instruct you people in this way. Instead of, like, reading all sites, focus on those sites which have got multicultural sites center. ఏంటి మల్టీకల్చరల్ సైట్స్? మల్టీకల్చరల్ సైట్ అన్నప్పుడు టేక్ ఎన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఆఫ్ నాగార్జున కొండ, which comes in Andhra Pradesh. 50% Konda belong to Telangana state, remaining Konda belong to Andhra Pradesh. That is another story. So Nagarjuna Konda happened to be multicultural site, and even, like, say Bhimbetka, very good, Bhimbetka happened to be multicultural site. Now what does that mean by multicultural site annappudu? So the artifacts of Paleo, Meso, Neo, Chalco, even other ages you come across at one side. The tools of Paleolithic cultures may have discovered are the paintings of Mesolithic cultures we might have discovered. The tools of Neolithic cultures are, like, the other stuff we might have discovered from one side. Alanti site name antamante multicultural site. సో మల్టీకల్చరల్ సైట్ మీద ఎక్కువగా ఫోకస్ చేయండి. అండ్ హిస్టరీ, లైక్, అంటే మనకు మల్టీకల్చరల్ సైట్స్నే యునెస్కో కూడా రికగ్నైజ్ చేయడం జరిగింది. ద బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ బింబెట్కా గాట్ రికగ్నిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ యునెస్కో. సో ఫోకస్ ఆన్ multicultural site. So Bhimbetka happened to be multicultural site. As I was telling, Nagarjuna Konda multicultural site. And you can write down Muchala Chintamanu Gavi. Can you know what is the significance of Muchala Chintamanu Gavi as far as Paleolithic cultures concerned? Yes, the first bone tools in India discovered from Muchala Chintamanu Gavi, which comes in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh. Muchatla or Muchala Chintamanu Gavi. The significance of Muchala Chintamanu Gavi, which comes in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, the first bone tools. ఎముకలతో చేసిన పనిముట్లు అంటాం. ద ఫస్ట్ బోన్ టూల్స్ డిస్కవర్డ్. ద ఫస్ట్ బోన్ టూల్స్ డిస్కవర్డ్. Can look at the board. So these are the tools of Paleolithic cultures. The tools of Paleolithic cultures. And these are the bone tools. ఇవన్నీ కూడా బోన్ టూల్స్. అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి, అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలి. బోన్ టూల్స్, దీస్ ఆర్ ది స్టోన్ టూల్స్. మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేసాం. సో Paleolithic cultures, the tools of Paleolithic cultures very primitive in nature, very rude in nature. బికాస్ అంత టెక్నాలజీ లేదు ఆయన దగ్గర, అంత తెలివితేటలు లేవు. మన మాదిరి సాగు తెలివితేటలు అస్సలు లేవు. భూ ఆకలితుంది, జంతువు పోతుంది, కొట్టాము అంతేగాని దీంతో జత్తదా బతుకుతా ఇవన్నీ కొట్టాము, వస్తే వచ్చింది, లేకపోతే లోట బీజ్ పోయింది. కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఈజ్ బై ద టైమ్, లైక్, you go to Mesolithic cultures, we found very, very sharp tools and they were smaller in size. చాలా జనరల్గా అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నించండి. డోంట్ మేక్ ఇట్ కాంప్లెక్స్ బేస్డ్. Now start with Mesolithic, right? Same areas to be focused, whatever the areas you have learnt as part of Paleolithic, right? Developments మీద focus చేయాలి. And while you are reading developments, focus must be on, like, what kind of changes which took place in Mesolithic cultures. And once you're done with developments, like, the so-called important sites, that's it, right? మళ్ళీ ఏంటి డెవలప్మెంట్స్ ఇన్ మెసోలిథిక్ కల్చర్స్ అన్నప్పుడు, now start with domestication of animals. Domestication of animals. So what is the profession of Paleolithic people? చెప్పండి. Profession of Paleolithic people, hunting and gathering. Now come to the main profession of Mesolithic people, domestication of animals. Domestication of animals. జంతువులను మచ్చిక చేసుకోవడం అంటాం. Domestication of animals. You also call, కొంచెం posh word, Pastoral economy, domestication of animals. Then if someone asks the question, doesn't mean Mesolithic people abandoned hunting and gathering, what would be the answer? No. So let us understand in this way, domestication of animals was given. The first priority when it comes to hunting and gathering was given, second priority. By the time you go to Neolithic cultures, what is the main profession of Neolithic cultures? Chapman, very good. Agriculture. Agriculture was the main profession of Neolithic cultures. Now, when you're talking about Neolithic cultures, agriculture was the main profession. Domestication of animals was given second priority, and the third priority would be, this is the greatness of these people. In fact, even today we follow. Though we forward, we never abandon our traditions, our culture. That's what the famous historian by name El Bhasham, he wrote many books. One among them was the Wonder That Was India. A book em cheptadante, there are only two cultural blocks. One is India, second one is China, which never abandoned their culture. So cultural continuity antam. Only two blocks, only two cultural blocks, India and China. I can give 101 examples here. For example, to make you understand, say the worship of animals we found in Indus Valley Civilization. Sorry, prehistoric cultures, koncham pakkana vedam. Because whatever we have learned under the tag called prehistoric cultures, all happen to be hypotheses. Ala jarigi undochu, ala undochu, ila undochu, kind of hypothesis. And strictly speaking, even Indus Valley Civilization also runs on hypothesis. From the days of Vedic Civilization, we have script and all, like, yes, we started developing so many stuff. That is another story. So take an example of Indus Valley Civilization. The worship of animals, the worship of snake, the worship of trees. And even today, these are part and parcel of Hinduism. And sir, why we were following? There's a cultural continuity. The same case can be applied for prehistoric cultures. Paleo ganivandi, Meso ganivandi. We simply carried the respective professions. And one more, another development, complete emergence of Homo sapiens. Enti complete emergence, mali inta munde manamu emergence of Homo sapiens and raskunamu. Ikkada modern thinking man. Inta mundemo only modern man and raskunamu. Ikkada modern thinking man. Why we were using the term called modern thinking man anappudu? Because we found developments in making tools. Developments in making tools. Strictly speaking, the entire prehistoric cultures classified by the gentleman Robert Bruce Foote, not on the basis of chronology, but on the basis of tool making technology. So Paleolithic tools were very rude and primitive. Mesolithic tools, sharp in nature, smaller in size, and it went on, technological changes. So the respective cultures got classified not on the basis of chronology, but on the basis of tool making technology. But technological advancement gavadam jarigindi kabatti, so complete emergence of Homo sapiens, otherwise called as modern thinking man. And one more, emergence of pottery, which also brought radical change in the very life of humans. Emergence of pottery. When we observe Paleolithic cultures lo, we found emergence of fire. అంటే ప్రతి ఏజ్లో ఏదో ఒక భయంకరమైన డెవలప్మెంట్ ఉంటుంది, దాని మీద ఫోకస్ చేయాలి. ఇక్కడ ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ పాటరీ. Now, how pottery brought radical change, a revolutionary change in the evolution or the human history anappudu, because of pottery. Artham cheskovali. Look at the board. Because of pottery, we found the respective sites of Mesolithic cultures. Because of pottery, we found the respective sites of Mesolithic cultures. They started locating away from river valleys. This is important. Earlier, Paleolithic cultures lo bhanga, we have learned the people were forced to live on river bodies. So we used Son Valley, Bolan Valley, Belan Valley, some XYZ valleys we referred. Then how about here? Right? For example, Bagor, which is located about 35 kilometers away from river valley, up the same towards Sarai, Naharai, Chopani Mando, Sanganakallu, which comes in Karnataka, Ballari district, Renigunta, Andhra Pradesh, Bhimbetka and Adamgarh. So why the respective sites of Mesolithic cultures are located away from river valleys, and up to the credit goes to pottery. The credit goes to pottery. And obviously, handmade pottery. Right? By the time you go to Neolithic cultures, you come across wheel-made pottery. Right? And wheel obviously brought radical change, that is another story. So handmade pottery center. If someone asks the question, how emergence of handmade pottery, the forced Mesolithic people to live away from water bodies and up, can any wild guess? Emergence of pottery ki sites which are located away from river valleys ki enti sambandham enti? Yes. You can store water in pots, jars. Earlier, there was no pottery. When I say earlier, Paleolithic people, Paleolithic cultures, right? Thereby, they were forced to live on river valleys. Why did we find maximum sites very near valleys? Paleolithic cultures, when we understand very in general, because animals come for water. So can easily hunt. Forget about these people hunting. They were hunted by animals on many occasions. Right? Outcome for a period of time. As I was reciting a saying in English, necessity is the mother of invention. The invention of fire ganivandi, emergence of pottery ganivandi. Right? It's all about necessity. Right? When it comes to the tools, Mesolithic tools, observe Mesolithic tools, they were very smaller in size. Sharp in nature. On one hand, smaller in size. It was not the case of Paleolithic cultures where we found a very bigger one, very rude one. Here, smaller in size, sharp in nature. It is not exaggerate to say the respective Mesolithic tools, they range from 1 centimeters to 8 centimeters. Just imagine that. 1 centimeters to 8 centimeters. Enti annappudu technology. When I say when I recite technology, adi ikkada ganivandi ancient throughout ancient ganivandi, don't compare with modern technology. Compared with previous developments, we are supposed to call these developments as technologies. So these are the Bhimbetka caves. As I was telling, ఈ multicultural sites evitunayo వీటి మీద focus చేయండి. And Bhimbetka happened to be multicultural site which is located in Hoshangabad district of Madhya Pradesh, got recognition from UNESCO. And in the rock shelters, at least a group of rock shelters, for about 85 to 90 rock shelters we are located in Madhya Pradesh, where we found artifacts belong to various cultures, artifacts belong to even Indus Valley Civilization, even rock cut paintings of Rajput age also we discovered in Bhimbetka rock cave center. So now start with, that is Neolithic cultures. Paleo followed by Meso followed by Neo, right? When it comes to developments of Neolithic cultures, only, at least the major developments, when we observe the major developments to begin with, agriculture. మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేశాం. What is the profession of Paleolithic people? Hunting and gathering. Come down to Mesolithic people. Children, pastoral economy, domestication of animals, and now come to Neolithic cultures, agriculture. When I say agriculture was the main profession, the main economic subsistence, so need not to tell you, domestication of animals was given second priority, followed by hunting and gathering. And agriculture brought radical changes in the very evolution of human life, because agriculture forced the people to settle at one place. When I say one place, next development raskon, that is emergence of village communities. Emergence of village communities. Thanks to the agriculture, which forced people to settle at one place. That's the significance of agriculture. Then you can pose me the question, then how about earlier people, that is Paleo followed by Meso, you call them nomads. Nomads. They kept on roaming here and there. Apply the same towards early Vedic Aryans. What is the profession of early Vedic Aryans? What is the profession of early Vedic Aryans, Vedic civilization? Pastoral economy. Pastoral economy. Pastoral economy is nothing but like you have to move from one place to another place. So మీరు అబ్జర్వేషన్ అట్లయితే ఊళ్ళో అబ్జర్వేషన్ అట్లయితే షెపర్డ్స్ ఉంటారు, గొర్రెల కాపర్లు ఉంటారు. They kept on moving from one place to another place. What for? In search of food, fodder, pastures, గడ్డి భూములు అంటాం, గ్రాస్ ల్యాండ్స్ అంటాం. Nomads. But you never ever come across those who got involved in agriculture, they kept on moving from one place. No, that's the greatness of agriculture. So while you're reading, my point is, while you're reading, like, say developments, you have to put question mark, because each and every development has its own impact on other development. So agriculture, emergence of agriculture followed by emergence of village communities. మళ్ళీ ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ విలేజ్ కమ్యూనిటీస్లో వీ ఫౌండ్ ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ప్రిమిటివ్ రిలీజియస్ బిలీవ్స్. ప్రిమిటివ్ రిలీజియస్ బిలీవ్స్. ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ప్రిమిటివ్ రిలీజియస్ బిలీవ్స్. మళ్ళీ ఈ ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ప్రిమిటివ్ రిలీజియస్ బిలీవ్స్లో భాగంగా వీ ఫౌండ్ టెర్రాకోటా ఫిగరైన్స్. మనం ఇందాక వన్ ఆఫ్ ది కీవర్డ్స్లో రాసుకున్నాం టెర్రాకోటా ఫిగరైన్స్, దట్ ఈస్ స్నేక్ వర్షిప్. స్నేక్ వర్షిప్. ఈవెన్ టుడే లైక్ వి ఫాలో నాగుల చవితి, నాగుల పంచమి, నాగుల చవితి అన్నారు. సో ట్రీ వర్షిప్ కానివ్వండి, స్నేక్ వర్షిప్ కానివ్వండి, ట్రీ కల్ట్, స్నేక్ కల్ట్ అంటాం. అండ్ వీ ఆల్సో ఫౌండ్ ట్రెఫినేషన్. కెన్ యూ నో వాట్ ఇస్ దిస్ ట్రెఫినేషన్? Trephination. What is meant by trephination? The discussion of Neolithic cultures would be incomplete unless we good at trephination. What does that mean, trephination? Right? At religious beliefs lo bhanga, like we have to learn trephination. Chalo, trephination కింద కొంచెం arrow mark తీసుకొని just have a small arrow mark on a trephination. The primitive method through which diseases were cured. So ఏంటి trephination అన్నప్పుడు, look at the board. So in this method an object would be what we call say burnt, and that object would be kept on like the human body, right? అది ప్రిమిటివ్ మెథడా సార్? అవును, ప్రిమిటివ్ మెథడ్. చచ్చిపోతారు సార్, చచ్చిపోలేదని వాళ్ళు నమ్మారు అన్నట్టు, బిలీఫ్, రైట్? లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ, ఈవెన్ ఇన్ 21st century we follow trephination, right? వన్స్ అగైన్ ఒక పెద్ద ఆయన చెప్పాడు అనమాట. ఏం చెప్పాడు సార్? నాకు చెప్పాడు, మీకు చెప్పమని చెప్పాడు. నువ్వు పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ చెప్పి పాఠం చెప్పారు. సో ఆయన ఏం చెప్పాడంటే, ఇండియా లివ్స్ ఇన్ విలేజెస్ అని చెప్పాడు. మాకు తెలుసు గాంధీజీ. సో గాంధీజీ సేస్ ఇండియా లివ్స్ ఇన్ విలేజెస్. ఎస్, విలేజెస్ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ ఆల్ సార్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ స్టఫ్ ఇంక్లూడింగ్ డిస్క్రిమినేషన్, దట్ ఈస్ అనదర్ స్టోరీ. ఇప్పుడు అవన్నీ ఎందుకు లేదు సార్? ఓకే. సో ఏంటి ట్రెఫినేషన్ అన్నప్పుడు, వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ ట్రావెల్ టు విలేజెస్, రిమోట్ విలేజెస్, ఈవెన్ టుడే, రైట్, అజియం జాండీస్, రైట్, పచ్చకామర్లు అంటుంది తెలుగు, మాకు తెలుసు సార్. పచ్చకామర్లు వచ్చినట్టు లోకం పొంద పచ్చకం, అది వేరే బ్యాచ్ అన్నట్టు. సో ఈ పచ్చకామర్లు వచ్చినప్పుడు ఐరన్ రాడ్ కాల్సి అటు చూడు అని చెప్తారు, పెట్టేస్తారు అనమాట. ఇవన్నీ నీకేంటి తెలుసు సార్, జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్ అన్నట్టు, జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్. రైట్. సో అంటే అలా చేస్తే వెళ్ళిపోతుందా సార్? నమ్మకం అనమాట. ఎవరు నమ్మకం ఆడుతున్నాడు. కొంతమందికి స్క్వైర్ షేప్లో పెడతారు, కొంతమందికి సర్కిల్ షేప్లో పెడతారు. పెట్టడం మాత్రం కామన్. దాన్ని చాలా మనం పాష్గా ఇంగ్లీష్లో ట్రెఫినేషన్ అంటున్నాం. కొంతమంది 2-3 సార్లు పెట్టినట్టున్నారు. ఓకే, చలో. సో ఈ ట్రెఫినేషన్, లైక్ ఐ రిపీట్, ద ట్రెడిషన్ కాల్డ్ ట్రెఫినేషన్ వీ ఫౌండ్ ఫర్ ద ఫస్ట్ టైమ్ ఇన్ నియోలిథిక్ కల్చర్స్. ఎస్పెషలీ మనకు బూర్జహాంలో ద ఎవిడెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రెఫినేషన్ వీ ఫౌండ్. And one more development, that is wheel-made pottery and రాసుకోండి. Wheel-made pottery. Mesolithic cultures, handmade pottery. Neolithic cultures, wheel-made pottery. So these are the, like one say, polished stone tools of Neolithic cultures. Polished stone tools of Neolithic cultures. So agriculture was a main profession. Thereby we found primitive agricultural practices. Just go through, say paddy was cultivated, wheat cultivated, barley cultivated, cotton cultivated. One good factual information. Just revise the stuff, right? So mali manaku important sites annappudu, as I was telling, you need not to write each and every site, you need not to by heart each and every site. Focus on the what is the significance of respective sites. Manam indaaka refer chesam. Take an example of Muchala Chintamanu, the significance of Muchala Chintamanu, bone tools, first bone tools discovered, and significance of Bimetka, multicultural site, significance of Nagarjunakonda, multicultural site. So ilanti significant sites maatrame okati rendu saarlu identify cheyandi. So when it comes to Mehergarh, Bolan Valley, which comes in what we call say Pakistan, Kuldhiva, Belan Valley, which comes in UP, Uttar Pradesh, Burjahan, Himalayan Valley, Kashmir, Manminaka refer Jesham. The practice called trephination we found at Burjahan. And even another significance of Burjahan, so we found in prelims, especially in manaku groups lo, the significance of Burjahan raavadam jarigindi. So the people of Burjahan built the houses not on the earth but inside the earth. I repeat, the people constructed houses. When I say houses, primitive houses, whatever the ages we are talking about, primitive houses not on the earth surface but inside. And any wild guess, what could be the reason? Right? What factor might have forced the people of Burjaham to build or to go for such kind of construction of houses? Chapter? Yes. Extreme temperature. Himalayan Valley, Kashmir, -2, -1 degree Celsius, minus. Right? దీన్ని మనం కాన్సెప్ట్ అంటాం. అంటే ఫ్యాక్చువల్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఉన్నప్పటికీ వై అని క్వశ్చన్ వేసుకోవాలి. లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ వోంట్ ఫర్గెట్. Start working on this. When it comes to Chirand, which comes in Gangetic Valley to be specific, Bihar, the significance of Chirand, the large scale bone tools were discovered. చాలా పెద్ద సంఖ్యలో మనకు ఎముకలతో చేసిన పనిముట్లు లభించాయి అంటాం. The large scale bone tools discovered, Chirand. So Mehergarh, known for agricultural activities, Kuldhiva, Bolan Valley, also known for agricultural activities, Burjaham, say houses, at the same time trephination tradition, and Chirand, bone tools. And the fourth one, that is Chalcolithic cultures, Chalcolithic age. As we referred, Robert Bruce Foote's classification, all cultures broadly divided into 2 categories, Stone Age cultures and Metal Age cultures. మళ్ళీ Metal Age culturesలో మనకు మొట్టమొదటి కల్చర్ వచ్చేసి మనకు చాల్కో. మరి చాల్కో కాపర్, everyone knows, copper is the first metal to be used by human beings. స్టార్ మార్క్ అండ్ సప్లై మనం అక్కడ డిస్టింగ్విష్ చేసుకున్నాము. Gold happened to be the first metal to be used in making ornaments. When it comes to copper, was the first metal to be used in making artifacts, weapons. Utensils కానివ్వండి, utensils కానివ్వండి, weapons కానివ్వండి, that is like chalco, that is copper. Just go through what we call the developments. In fact, we didn't find radical developments as far as Chalcolithic age concerned. Only one radical development, that is use of metal. That's it. Right? Now, have small subheading, that is prehistoric art. Prehistoric art. In fact, prehistoric art or paintings of prehistoric art forms, another the key area where we found questions. Right? Prehistoric art. You're quite aware of the classification based on script. Entire history got classified into 3. You're quite aware of, that is prehistoric age. Prehistoric age, everyone knows prehistoric age, followed by proto-historic age, followed by historic age. So prehistoric age annappudu, say the absence of script. Right? There was no script at all. Now the actual story starts here. How did people communicate? Right? How did people communicate? Annappudu through signs antam, right? Sangnana dwara, and even through paintings. Once again, let me recite the English saying, necessity is the mother of invention. So why did they go paintings? I'm not talking about the paintings of medieval ages. I'm not talking the paintings of the post-modern age onwards. We found the marvelous paintings. We are not talking about them. These are the primitive paintings. No, why did they go for paintings? Because there was no script. But somehow they wanted to convey message to another band or to another group. Necessity is the mother of invention. Assume a group of people living in northwestern India for our convenience. Right? Adi different valleys ganivandi. Right? They found very very massive animals, very very dangerous animals. They wanted to vacate that place. Before vacating the place, before vacating the land, they wanted to convey a message to the other bands, other groups. So they started drawing what we call images, the paintings in the rocks. మళ్ళీ ఈ కంటెక్స్లో మనకు పెయింటింగ్స్ రావడం జరిగింది. మళ్ళీ ఏంటి థీమ్ ఏంటి అన్నప్పుడు వెరీ సింపుల్ థీమ్. Animal hunting, communal dances, birds, musical instruments, mothers and children, pregnant women, men carrying dead animals, burials. వీటిని మనం థీమ్ అంటాం. What I'm trying to tell you, through prehistoric paintings, we can understand the socio-economic and cultural aspects of prehistoric people. That's the greatness of art. Art form speaks many events. ఏంటి సోషల్ how can we understand the social institutions of prehistoric people అన్నప్పుడు, so did caste system? No, caste system, it's too early to make a comment on it. Everyone knows we found caste system in later Vedic period, to be specific Vedic civilization, later Vedic period. But some sort of classification might happen. The absence of script. మళ్ళీ ఏ విధంగా సోషల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ అన్నప్పుడు is communal dances, social gathering, right? Well, economic subsistence ఏంటి? hunting animals, economic subsistence, livelihood. Say when the pregnant women, the birds, musical instruments, right? So what I'm trying to tell you, by going through, observe చేయాలి, look at the board. By going through the paintings, we can easily understand their socio-economic and cultural behavior. Let me use a term called behavior than the institutions. Institution అయితే మనకు ఆర్గనైజ్డ్ వేలో ఉంటే మనం ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం సోషల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ అంటాం. టుడే వీ హ్యావ్ సోషల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్. మళ్ళీ సోషల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్లో క్లాసిఫికేషన్ ఉంటుంది, అకార్డింగ్ టు ద సోషాలజిస్ట్ క్లాసిఫికేషన్ ఉంటుంది, పొజిషన్ ఆఫ్ విమెన్ ఉంటుంది, ఎకానమిక్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్, రిలీజియస్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్. మళ్ళీ ఇక్కడ ఏంటి అన్నప్పుడు సోషియో ఎకానమిక్ అండ్ కల్చరల్ బిహేవియర్. So the best way to understand the prehistoric peoples like the socio-economic and cultural behaviors through art form. మళ్ళీ ఈ పెయింటింగ్స్ మనకు ఏ యుగానికి సంబంధించినవని మనకు చాలాసార్లు క్వశ్చన్ అవ్వడం జరిగింది. ద పెయింటింగ్స్ ఆఫ్ ప్రీహిస్టారిక్ పీపుల్, మ్యాక్సిమం పెయింటింగ్స్ బిలాంగ్ టు మెసోలిథిక్ పీరియడ్. యూ కెన్ రైట్ ఆన్ దిస్. The paintings of prehistoric people discovered at Bhimbetka, Adamgarh, which is on board, Murhana Pahar, P-A-H-A-R, Pahad, Konda, hill. Bhimbetka, Adamgarh, Murhana Pahar. Nagarjuna Konda, Ketavaram, Sangana, Kallu, and others. So these are the important, rocky areas where we found the paintings of prehistoric cultures. Maximum paintings belong to Mesolithic cultures. ఎందుకు Mesolithic cultures మీద ఇంత ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఇస్తున్నామంటే వెరీ సింపుల్. వాట్ ఈస్ ద ప్రొఫెషన్ ఆఫ్ Mesolithic పీరియడ్? Domestication of animals. Thereby they had to move from one place to another place. It was not the case of Neolithic. People got settled. So maximum paintings we found from the days of Mesolithic cultures are the Adamgarh, Murhana Pahar, Bhimbetka ganivandi. So Bhimbetka, Adamgarh, which comes in these two sites are located in Madhya Pradesh. When it comes to Murhana Pahar, UP, Uttar Pradesh. When it comes to Nagarjuna Konda and Ketavaram, Andhra Pradesh. Ketavaram, Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, and Nagarjuna Konda, the Guntur, at the same time Nalgonda. When it comes to Sanganakallu, near Ballari, Karnataka. Right? So these are the important sites of prehistoric art forms, to be specific, paintings. So Bhimbetka, rock shelters. So from last class refer చేసిన వచ్చి will be once again, including online students. Consider the following pairs. This particular question asked in Civil Services Prelims 2021. On one hand, historical place. On the other hand, well known for in the sense significance we generally call it. Burjaham, where Burjaham located in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, and forget about rock cut shrines. General ga eliminate చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నించండి. So Chandra Ketu Ghad, terracotta art, yes. Gnaneshwar, copper artifacts. Gnaneshwar manaku Maharashtra lo untundi. Right? Which is known for copper artifacts. Gnaneshwar cultures, we call them, one of the sub parts of Chalcolithic cultures. So what is the right answer then? Option D, B and C is correct. First pair is incorrect. Right, it's all about prehistoric cultures. Areas ni focus cheyandi, keywords ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటి మీద ఎక్కువగా ఫోకస్ చేయండి. And in fact, we found very little questions from prehistoric cultures. It does not mean I'm not instructing you people, you can ignore. No, ఒక ఐడియా పెట్టుకోండి. అంటే ఏదైతే keywords రాసుకున్నామో వాటి మీద just the brush up. Now start with the second chapter, in fact, interesting chapter and important chapter for all competitive exams, including UPSC General Studies Prelims, that is Indus Valley Civilization, otherwise called as Harappan Civilization, otherwise called as Bronze Age Civilization. We have so many terminologies, we have so many nomenclatures as far as the civilization is concerned. Right? So what are the topics to be focused annappudu? So these are the topics to be focused. Say major sites, star mark and supply. So far 1400 plus sites discovered. I'm not instructing you to focus all these sites, please. Hardly half a dozen, not more than that. Hardly half a dozen. Extremely factual information. Besides, go through newspapers, you come across few sites. I'm talking about Indus Valley sites. అంటే రీసెంట్గా ఒక రీసెర్చ్ స్కాలర్ చనిపోయారు. ఆ సైట్లో చనిపోయారు. ఎక్కడ? గుజరాత్లో ఏ సైట్ ఉంది మనకు? లోథాల్. అయిపోయింది. దాని గురించి 1 or 2 ఫ్యాక్ట్స్. దాని నుంచి చాలా పాష్గా కరెంట్ హిస్టరీ అంటాం, రీసెంట్ ట్రెండ్స్. దట్స్ ఇట్. ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్టింగ్ యూ పీపుల్ డూ పిహెచ్డి. ఆమె ఎందుకు పోయింది అక్కడికి, ఎట్లా చనిపోయింది, అరే జూమ్ చేయరా, ఇవన్నీ అవసరం లేదనమాట. Now, what is the significance of Lothal? Everyone knows Lothal is a port town of Indus Valley Civilization. It was like, it was the first artificial dockyard. Very good. Dockyard, first artificial dockyard. Dockyard ki like manaku dock station ku differences అక్కడ ఉంటుంది, అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. సో మేజర్ సైట్స్ ఫర్ అబౌట్ హార్డ్లీ half a dozen sites, you call it, that is like say Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, Chanhu-daro, Kalibangan, Dholavira, Banawali, right? మొత్తం చెప్తారు లేదా? half a dozen enough, right? మొత్తం half a dozen, right? So once you're done with major sites of Indus Valley Civilization, then you talk about town planning, right? In fact, this is another area where we found questions both for mains and prelims. Now we were looking at prelims point of view. Town planning. Be good at features of town planning. Right? What kind of features they employed in construction of the respective towns. Followed by social institutions. How the society got classified and what kind of position women have received from their men, and economic institutions. Political administrative structure, manaku political administrative structure anta important ledu, but we found a question not in civil services but in groups, that is like manaku akkada opinions untai. Say for example, Didi Koshambi says something and R.S. Sharma says something, say even Romila Thapar says something, like అవసరం లేదు మనకు, బట్ ఒక ఐడియా పెట్టుకోండి. అండ్ ఫైనలీ religious institutions. So with this background, keywords. What are the keywords to be focused in Indus Valley Civilization? Town planning, followed by grid pattern system. Followed by citadel, or the big walls you call them, citadels. Followed by water management system. Even in some text also come across artificial canal irrigation system. Both are same, right? Artificial canal irrigation system. Great bath, swimming pool, sir, avuna. Great bath. Another technical term, Sindhon. Can you know what is the Sindhon? Cotton. The script of Mesopotamians, the script of Sumerians refer Indus Valley's cotton as Sindhon. One of the patent areas to be focused. Urbanization. Obviously, towns and cities. When I say urbanization, major sites for your convenience. Major sites, to be specific, for about half a dozen sites. Major sites. Followed by pictographic, that is script of Indus Valley. Script మీద ఎక్కువగా ఫోకస్ చేయాలి. థ్యాంక్స్ టు స్టాలిన్ సార్. స్క్రిప్ట్ మీద ఎక్కువగా ఫోకస్ చేయాలి. Followed by religious beliefs. Mali religious beliefs lo bhanga, you can mother goddess, Pashupati, Mahadeva, రిలీజియస్ బిలీఫ్స్ అని రాసుకోండి. జస్ట్ 1 or 2 ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్. మదర్ గాడెస్ పశుపతి మహాదేవ. ఈవెన్ మనకు స్నేక్ కల్ట్ ఉంటుంది, రైట్, ట్రీ కల్ట్ ఉంటుంది, ద వర్షిప్ ఆఫ్ సెక్స్ ఆర్గాన్స్ ఉంటాయి, రైట్, దట్ ఈస్ ఫీమేల్ సెక్స్ ఆర్గాన్, మేల్ సెక్స్ ఆర్గాన్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకు రిలీజియస్ బిలీఫ్స్లో భాగంగా వస్తాయి. So one of the areas where we found the patent questions, that is like, contemporary civilizations, mass the following lo bhang mana questions raavadam jarigindi. And even like, so when in India we found Indus Valley Civilization, which one of the following areas where we found respective civilization, option A, option B, option. So my point is, question can be framed, right? అంటే ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ మ్యాథ్స్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ వచ్చాయి, ఇప్పుడు కూడా మనం ఇది కాదనమాట, కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. So what I'm trying to tell you, it was in 3rd millennium BC. It was in 3rd millennium BC we found 4 contemporary civilizations across the globe. Contemporary, samakalinam, contemporary civilizations. When you're talking about contemporary civilizations, say we generally, ante manam general common sense తో మనం అర్థం చేసుకున్నప్పుడు, say for example we have Indus Valley Civilization అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. We have Indus Valley Civilization. So when it comes to, in Central Asia we have Mesopotamian civilization. Mesopotamian civilization, otherwise called as Sumerian civilization. When it comes to in Africa we have Egyptian civilization on the banks of river Nile. Now come to Elo river or Huangho river, that is Chinese civilization. So what I'm trying to tell you, when you're talking about contemporary civilizations, minimum common sense, these people might have maintained XYZ relations, అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి, XYZ relations with each other. Contemporary का मतलब क्या होता है? Existing at the same time. So Donald Trump is a contemporary of Narendra Modi, kind of. Let me tell you, on few occasions even common sense also beats us. Reason being, Indus people maintain commercial relations and cultural relations. అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. Indus people maintained commercial relations and cultural relations only with Mesopotamians. Then you are saying there are 4 contemporary civilizations. Yes. కాంటెంపరీ అన్నప్పుడు లైక్ ఏదో ఒకటి సచిన పెళ్ళికి వచ్చింది కట్టడం, ఏదో ఒకటి అక్కడిక్కడ జరుగుతుంటాయి అన్నమాట. But we never found the relations between Indus Valley and Chinese, nor we found relations between Indus Valley and Egyptian. We have evidences, I'm talking about it. Evidences between Indus Valley Civilization and Mesopotamian. What kind of evidences? We have inscriptions. Then you can counter me. అసలు ఇక్కడ స్క్రిప్ట్ డెవలప్ చేశారు. అన్ఫార్చునేట్లీ లైక్ విడిన్ డెసిఫర్ అన్నప్పుడు ఐఎమ్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ ద ఇన్స్క్రిప్షన్స్ ఆఫ్ మెసోపటోమియన్. మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేశాం, మెసోపటోమియన్ ఇన్స్క్రిప్షన్స్ రెఫర్ ఇండస్ కాటన్ యాజ్ సింధోర్. సో వీ ఫౌండ్ కల్చరల్ రిలేషన్స్ అట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ కమర్షియల్ రిలేషన్స్. Even when you go through previous year question papers, we found that is like, say, foreign trade route అడిగాను. Foreign trade route, like the ships which were traveling from Meluha, say Mesopotamian scripts branded Indus civilization as Meluha. So from Meluha to Akkad, the ships were traveling. Akkad is one of the towns of Mesopotamian civilization. How we had Harappa, Lothal, Mohenjo-daro, like the foreign trade route was asked. Anything can be asked. The only thing is manam areas mida oka idea pettukovali. Why didn't Indus people maintain commercial relations or any kind of relations with Chinese? Any wild guess? General ga answer cheppochu. Cheppan Himalayas, that's it. Thanks to the Himalayas, which became a kind of natural protectors, natural barriers we call them. Now come to the same Indus people did not make any kind of contacts with Egyptian. Any wild guess, right? Long distance, that's it. But we found the commodities of Indus Valley civilization in Egyptian town. ఓ పని చేశారు, మొత్తం నువ్వే క్వశ్చన్ వేసుకొని మా ఆన్సర్ చెప్పుకొని వెళ్ళిపోరు. ఇందాకే లేదని చెప్పినవారు, మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు బట్ టు ఇఫ్ అని చెప్తున్నారు. I repeat, we never found commercial relations nor cultural relations between Egyptians and Indus, but we found the commodities of Indus Valley Civilization in Egyptian towns and cities. మళ్ళీ దీన్ని ఏ విధంగా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి? That's an answer. They might have taken, the Egyptians might have taken the Indus commodities from Mesopotamia. Assume, hypothesis, Indus and Egyptians might have commercial relations and cultural relations, like, but evidences have not discovered so far. మళ్ళీ అంతవరకు మనం హైపోథీసిస్ని ఏ విధంగా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలంటే, సో ఈజిప్షియన్స్ మైట్ హ్యావ్ టేకెన్ ఇండస్ కమాడిటీస్ ఫ్రమ్ మెసోపొటేమియా. Strictly speaking, we found similarities. It's an hypothesis, right? Let me tell you, entire Indus Valley, even like, say prehistoric cultures run on hypothesis. Obviously, ఏంటి హైపోథీసిస్ అన్నప్పుడు, బేస్డ్ ఆన్ స్కాంటీ ఎవిడెన్సెస్ యూ కెన్ డెవలప్ థియరీస్. స్టార్ మార్క్ అండ్ అప్లై బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ఎవిడెన్సెస్, స్కాంటీ ఎవిడెన్సెస్. ఏదో కూర్చొని మెల్లగా వరి సరి ఇది కాదనమాట. ఎవిడెన్స్ ఉండాలి, ఆ ఎవిడెన్స్ తగ్గట్టు లైక్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు యాడ్ యువర్ ఓన్ వ్యూస్ అండ్ ఇట్ షుడ్ బి యాక్సెప్టెడ్ బై సమ్ XYZ scholars. Whatever the hypothesis we were learning, like, so we found a lot of debates and discussions. That is another story, right? So 4 early river valley civilizations are contemporary civilizations we concern. And another area, as I was telling, like, you have to focus on pictographic script, otherwise called as Boustrophidan script, otherwise called as Serpentine script, otherwise called as even like, so we have other logographic, and మనం ఇందాక రాసుకున్నాం logographic script, right? So based on script, entire history broadly divided into 3 categories. Prehistoric age, where there was no script, keep aside, like we have learned prehistoric cultures. Now come to the second category, protohistoric age. Protohistoric age. Can anyone, what is the phenomenon of protohistoric age? Yes, good. Script is available. Artham chesukovali. Script is available, but it was not understood, deciphered. So what are the problems with Indus script annappudu? See, when I say problems with Indus script, let me use the term, we found some sort of difficulties, right? They developed the script, but we are unable to decipher the script of Indus Valley civilization. Enti problems annappudu, general ga, say if a line starts from right to left, what do we call such kind of scripts? I repeat the question. If a line starts from right and ends with left, what do we call such kind of scripts? Chimnan. Okay. If a line starts from left to right, what do we call these scripts? మీకు దండం పెడితే ఏదో చెప్పండి. ఓ పని చేసి సార్, నువ్వే ఏదో చెప్పి మాకు చెప్పమని చెప్పు సార్. చెప్పాను. డోంట్ కన్సిడర్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ యాజ్ అన్ ఇంటలెక్చువల్స్. చలో, నా ఆత్మ సంతృప్తికి చదివండి సార్. ఓకే, ఇది ఎక్కడ స్టార్ట్ అయింది, ఎక్కడ ఎండ్ అయింది? ఓకే, మళ్ళీ ఇలాంటి స్క్రిప్ట్స్ని మనం ఏమంటాం? డోంట్ సే స్క్రిప్ట్స్ అంటాం. ఓకే, ఇది విచ్ స్క్రిప్ట్? ఫెంటాస్టిక్, బతికించారండి. So the scripts which starts from left and ends with right. We have so many scripts, modern scripts. Telugu gaanivandi, Tamil gaanivandi, like Hindi gaanivandi, right? See, script is different, language is different, that is another subject. My point is, if a line starts from right, ends with left, what do we call such kind of scripts? Arabic, Urdu. అంటే మాకు రావు సార్, నాకు మాత్రం వచ్చదా, ఏదో ఒకటి చెప్తున్నాను. Arabic script you call it, Urdu we call it. Now, the problem, making efforts to explain you people, what kind of problems we found the script, thereby the gentleman, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, he announced very big amount, right? Weelaithe prelims tarvata concentrate cheyandi. Okay. So, the line starts from right to left, and it doesn't ends with left, it starts. This is one bumper offer, right? See, manak idea emundi, if a script starts from right to left, yes, we have some sort of scripts, right? If a script starts from left to right, we have some sort of scripts. But here, the first line starts from right and it doesn't ends with left, it simply continues, right? Number one. Number two, in the midst of the lines we found what we call say symbols. You mean ఇది ఇంకొక బంపర్ ఆఫరా సార్? ఇలాంటి ఆఫర్స్ చాలా ఉన్నాయన్నమాట. ఆషాఢం కంటే డబల్ ఆఫర్స్ ఉన్నాయి. Thereby scholars, they are breaking their heads and they successfully failed in deciphering. Then you can pose me the question, then how about the script which was developed by contemporary civilizations? Let me tell you, except Indus script, the remaining scripts were deciphered. అది మెసొపొటేమియన్ కానివ్వండి, ఈజిప్షియన్ కానివ్వండి, చైనీస్ మొఘల్, చైనా కానివ్వండి. సో స్క్రిప్ట్ మీద ఎక్కువగా ఫోకస్ చేయండి. ఫాదర్ హెరాస్, చాలా ఎస్ఆర్ రావు, చాలామంది మనకు ద స్కాలర్స్ హూ kept on worked on the script but successfully failed, and few scholars they also made it clear that the script of Indus Valley can be traced back to Brahmi script, but not important, just have an idea. Enduku pictographic? I repeat, why the script to be called as pictographic? Because in the midst of the lines we found pictures. Why the script to be called as Baustrophedon? Baustrophedon, it's a Latin term which means which is the script which has got zigzag. And why serpentine anappudu? Because it goes like Nagaraja, right? That's it. బొమ్మల లిపి అంటాం, చిత్రలేఖన అంటాం, ఇట్ వెంట అంటారు. మొత్తానికైతే కాలేదా సార్? కాలేదు నేను. ఏదో అభిమానం. అలా బాబు బొమ్మ కూడా తీసుకురావద్దు, అది తర్వాత తీసుకొద్దాం. So recent announcement by Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, cash prize, prelims tarvata కూర్చోండి. And this is another area where we found that is the boundary. Need not just listen. ఈ బౌండరీస్ అన్నప్పుడు మనకు అంటే చాలా కాన్సెప్చువల్ బేస్డ్ క్వశ్చన్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేశారు, అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఫ్యాక్చువల్ బేస్డ్గా కూడా క్వశ్చన్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేశారు. వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ బౌండరీస్, యు ఆర్ క్వైట్ అవేర్ ఆఫ్ బౌండరీస్ ఆర్ ప్రోన్ టు బి changed. Besides, we have one more, boundaries are static, right? అంటే పొలిటికల్ బౌండరీస్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. వెన్ యూ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ పొలిటికల్ బౌండరీస్, దే వర్ డైనమిక్, రైట్? వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు నేచురల్ బౌండరీస్, దే వర్ static. Take an example of Indian natural boundaries. What are the natural boundaries of Indian Union? Children, north Himalayas, come down to south Indian Ocean, come down to east Bay of Bengal, come down to west. Yes. Static. I repeat, natural boundaries are static but not political boundaries. Now come to Indus Valley, the boundaries of Indus Valley, they were kept on changing. So the boundaries of Indus Valley civilization, they were not static but dynamic. Enduku dynamic anali ante so it was until 2004 the southern boundary of artham cheskoli, the southern boundary of Indus Valley civilization Lothal until 2004. Then what happened in 2004 అన్నప్పుడు? It was in 2004 we found, say archaeologists found Daimabad, which is located in Maharashtra. Daimabad located in the banks of river Pravara, which happened to be the tributary of river Godavari. So what I'm trying to tell you, we have northern boundary, southern boundary, ఈస్టర్న్ బౌండరీ అండ్ వెస్టర్న్ బౌండరీ. నార్దర్న్ బౌండరీ అన్నప్పుడు మనకు మండు అంటాం, రైట్? యూఆర్ క్వైట్ అవేర్ ఆఫ్, నీడ్ నాట్ జస్ట్ లిజన్, just go through. So northern boundary Mandu, which is located in the banks of river Chenab, obviously it's one of the tributaries of river Indus. Now come down to south, that is Daimabad, located in the banks of river Pravara, happen to be the tributary of river Godavari. Come to east, that is we have Alamgir Pur, located on the banks of river, that is Ghagar Hakkar Valley, and a western boundary, that is Sutka Zendor, located on Makran coast, Pakistan. సో బౌండరీస్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో మనకు, అంటే బౌండరీస్లో కాన్సెప్ట్ ఏంటి అన్నప్పుడు, సో ద బౌండరీస్ ఆఫ్ ఐవీసీ వర్ నాట్ స్టాటిక్, దే వర్ ప్రోన్ టు బి చేంజ్డ్, దే వర్ డైనమిక్ ఇన్ నేచర్ అండ్ ద రెస్పెక్టివ్ బౌండరీస్ అండ్ ఆల్. And as I was telling, like on the important towns, it's an extremely factual information. So maybe the Harappa ganivandi, Lothal ganivandi, Mohenjo-daro ganivandi, on the respective sites and all that. So, which one of the following is not a Harappan site? Manam last class refer chesam. What is the right answer? Soha Gaura. The important towns lo bhanga, that is Mohenjo-daro, Mound of the Dead Men, even the literal meaning of Mohenjo-daro, Mound of the Dead Men, even the literal meaning of Lothal was also Mound of the Dead Men. So Mohenjo-daro, it's an Sindhi language, the English version Mound of the Dead Men. Lothal is a Gujarati language, the English version Mound of the Dead Men. Manam Telugulo muduga Mrutula Dibba antam, right? So the largest site in terms of population, great bath, great granary, temple-like structure, bronze dancing girl, and this particular site, that is Mohenjo-daro, got recognition from UNESCO in 1980. As I was telling, the factual information, Mali Pashupati Mahadeva seal edaithe undo, so it has to be the focused, because we found questions on Pashupati Mahadeva. We found questions on dancing girl. We also found questions on mother goddesses and the religious beliefs, right? So do we want a break of 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll back.